No, that's one of the things that are in your book bag.
Oh.
Zay, where's your book bag, honey?
Oh.
Thank you.
I thought for a second you said.
Naomi, it looks like you're about to throw away your rap page for social studies. Make sure you don't, or you'll have to start over.
That's fine. I haven't even. There's a rap page.
No, your page that says rap on it for 1920 school versus 2023 school. Let me see it, Naomi, because it looks like you're about to throw away the rap page that you need. Okay, that's from Voyagers in Space. Well, that was supposed to be turned in a while ago, so I don't know what to tell you. What is that? I've already said 3 times to put that in your book bin.
Oh, yeah, Miss Maggie.
Thank you.
We don't have that one.
Okay, your book bin needs to go back to the left side of your body where it normally goes. And then your eyes need to be on Miss Mady. We are no longer organizing. Zaid, I don't know where all that stuff is, bud, but it needs to get off your desk.
Your whiteboard can go up.
Thank you, Bella.
Alrighty, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Well, let's go ahead and read our math goals for
All the way
today,
up.
starting with we
Thank
will. Ready?
We will work together to understand the importance
of spending and saving money.
I
will use critical thinking strategies to determine the importance of planned and unplanned spending. So, today guys, we're going to be talking about spending money. Who in here likes to spend money?
Me.
Oh, don't worry, Miss Mady does too. So real quick, we're going to do a fun little activity, but in order for us to do this fun activity, I need to have your eyes and I need to have your full attention, okay? So real quick, who's my teacher's assistant this week? Annika, if you will come see me, what I want you to do, Annika, is you're going to hand 1 sticky note to each person, okay? Now, if you're not Annika, you need to have your eyes up here because I'm about to tell you your directions, okay? You are going to think in your brain, what is something you or your family has recently bought, okay, in the past couple of weeks? So it could be maybe groceries. It could be maybe a new video game you've been wanting, okay? It could be toys. It could be anything you can think of that maybe you or your family have recently bought the past couple of weeks. Okay, and you're gonna write it down on your sticky note. Once you have it, it could be the last month. It could be anything you're thinking of that in the past you or your family have bought with money. Okay? You're just gonna write it on your sticky note, and then once you have that written on your sticky note, I want you to stand behind your chair with your sticky note. I just want to do one. Just one, okay?
Ooh, I like how Zaid is using a complete sentence. Good job, Zaid.
Why'd you do that?
Thank you, Chris, for standing behind your
bought.
chair, letting me know that you're ready once you've written down your purchase.
Yes.
I'm going to give you about 1 more minute. No, it's just one thing if you want. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. Okay? But if you would like one, that would be fine. Okay, thank you to my friends who are standing behind their chair, letting me know they are ready with their sticky note in their hand.
Do we need our pencil?
You will not need your pencil. Okay, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds.
That's like 12.
spell slime. S-L-I-M-E.
Hotel.
Just spell the best you can, guys.
There you go. You spelled it perfectly.
Alrighty. Now, if you do not have anything written down, that is fine, okay? Or you're
Whatever
finishing
it is
up.
that you
But
want.
if you are ready to go, I want you to take your sticky note and yourself, nothing else, and bring it to the carpet. Quietly, please. No, it could just be one thing. It does not have to be a sentence. Thank you to those who are coming down to the carpet and sitting in their Bronner vest. I do appreciate that. Hey, your Bronner vest looks like you sitting crisscross applesauce. You sitting somewhere where you know you're making a good choice and are not going to be distracted during our lesson. Okay? And where you know you're going to be a complete zero unless you're participating.
Okay, the right house.
So thank you.
On
All
the
right,
left is
before we get started with going over our sticky notes, we're going to talk about a couple different things in vocabulary that you're going to need to know for this lesson. So, one of the things is a planned purchase. Does anybody know what maybe a planned purchase might be? If I was going to say I'm making a planned purchase, what comes to mind?
You don't have to tell me why you bought it.
Charlie, what comes to mind when I say a planned purchase? She's right. I love that thinking that you are saving money or you're making a plan to save money in order to buy a bigger thing. So, for example, I'm going to use a real world example that Miss Mady had this weekend. So, guess what? Miss Mady had to buy a car this weekend. Now, Miss Mady has been planning on buying a car for a really long time, and so she finally had to do it. But she's been saving her money and working hard, so she made a planned purchase this weekend by buying a car. But what about an unplanned purchase? There's a prefix in the word unplanned. Does anybody know what that prefix is? Lane, what's the prefix in unplanned?
Like you didn't plan it.
Yeah, you didn't plan it right. That's what it means, okay? But there's a prefix, which means there's
you don't have enough for it.
a prefix at the beginning of the word that tells me that it's changing the meaning between planned and unplanned. Adeline, what is the prefix? Un. And we know that the prefix un means what? Annika, thank you for raising your hand. What does the prefix un mean?
It means that you didn't do it.
None or without, right? So that means that it was a or not. So it was a not planned purchase. So it's buying something that you did not plan for because of impulse or circumstances. Another great example of this would be Miss Mady's Amazon shopping. There's a lot of times Miss Mady gets on Amazon and she just starts making unplanned purchases and buying everything on impulse because she likes what she sees. Or maybe you're going to the grocery store with your family and you're walking down the aisle and you guys come to the ice cream aisle. We're all guilty of this, aren't we? And we immediately just start asking our parents, could we get this ice cream? Or maybe could we get this ice cream? And maybe sometimes they say yes. That would be considered an unplanned purchase because you didn't plan. You maybe not have planned to buy ice cream, or else some families do, but a majority of families don't necessarily plan to go buy ice cream at the grocery store. Okay? So when they walk down the aisle and they notice that something looks good and they just throw it in the cart, that's on impulse. Okay? That means they're just doing it on the fly. Right? There's not a whole lot of thought behind it. So that would be considered an unplanned purchase. All right, another vocabulary word we're going to go over is credit. A credit is an amount of money a person or business borrows with an agreement to pay it back in the future. Okay, so that means when Miss Mady went and bought her car today, she did not have all the money in the world to just buy this car and walk away. She had to get it off of credit. That means that she borrowed money in order to make the purchase of her car, and she's promising that a little bit at a time she's going to pay that money back to the car company. Does that make sense? Okay, so this money didn't just appear out of thin air. Miss Mady's going to have to pay it back over the next couple of years in order to buy this car. Now, when you use credit, there's this thing called interest. You guys, anybody heard about interest before?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, Riley, what is interest?
Basically, like, it's like, so you take, like, money and you, it's hard to.
It's kind of hard to describe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Go ahead, Riley's still talking, guys, so make sure you're sitting in your Bronner vest and we're all listening to what she has to say.
I think it collects more money on the way while it's like, I don't know.
No, and your thinking is you're getting there, right? So she's saying interest is extra money that gets added on when you borrow a certain amount. Okay, so there's this thing called interest. When you borrow money from somebody, let's say that Miss Wilson and I, Miss Mady wanted Starbucks, but she didn't have enough money for Starbucks, and so Miss Wilson gives Miss Mady $10 and says, okay, you go get Starbucks. Okay? But she said that there's interest to that $10. That means every single day I don't pay that $10, or an extended amount of time I don't pay that $10, more money gets added to what I borrowed. So let's say Miss Mady doesn't pay Miss Wilson back for a week or two. Okay? And Miss Mady ends up paying Miss Wilson back $15 instead of $10. That's because she owed interest on the money she borrowed. Does that make sense? Okay. So, yeah, so you have interest, so you have extra money you have to pay back because you ended up borrowing money from somebody. All right, so I want everyone to take a look at their sticky notes and find a partner really quick. So you two are partners, Julia, Chris, you two are partners, Teddy, Naomi, you two are partners, Kyla, go be partners with Blake. Okay? So I want you to talk with your, oh, hold on really quickly. You're not talking just yet because you don't know what you're supposed to be talking about. Okay, you're going to talk with your partner really quick and share what you wrote on your sticky note, and was it a planned purchase or was it an unplanned purchase? Does everybody know the difference between planned and unplanned?
Yes.
Okay, so quickly, for about a minute, you're going to talk to your partner about what you wrote on your sticky note and if it was a planned or unplanned purchase. Okay, you can go. Okay, so what did you guys write?
Okay, was she planning to buy something, or did you just ask her to buy something?
So house, right? So did you guys just walk by the house and be like, oh man, that's a pretty house, we should go buy that today? No, y'all guys had a plan and save money to buy the house, right? So would that be considered planned or unplanned? Planned, right? Charlie, what about you? A basketball net. Do you think that was a planned or unplanned purchase?
Did you see it? You're like, oh, I want that. Should I have that on my life? Okay, so that's unplanned purchase, right? She didn't have the money set aside for it, but now you
So
decided
you try to be
get it,
both,
right?
Brady, what about you?
You know when you really
So what kind of spending is that?
So was it planned or unplanned? Planned, very good.
Lane, what's your sticky note like? Okay.
Alrighty, good job, guys. So I had heard a lot of different conversations, and I think you guys are really starting to understand the difference between what's planned and unplanned. However, some of you guys were like, well, Miss Mady, mine could go either way. Charlie and I had that conversation. Charlie, do you want to share what's on your sticky note?
So we got a basketball net, but mine was a mix of both because we were planning on getting a basketball net, but one day when we were in the store, we just passed the basketball net and we decided to buy it.
Yeah, so she was saying that could go either way, kind of in a sense. I would say it goes more leaning towards a planned purchase because you guys were planning on buying the basketball net. However, she was saying one day when they were walking down the store in the aisle, they saw one and it was a pretty good deal, right? And so they ended up just buying that one. So it could go either way. I would say that one leans more towards a planned purchase though. All right, so what we're going to do next is that together we are going to go over a couple of different scenarios. When we're talking about saving money in math, guys, a lot of the times it's not necessarily wanting you to calculate something like using a math equation. It's more of like they're going to give you a scenario that would happen to like real people in the real world, and they're wanting to ask for like your opinion or what you think they should do instead. So we're going to go through these together. Before we do that, we're just going to go over just a couple more things of vocabulary. So we talked about credit. We talked about how credit is an amount of money a person or business borrows with an agreement to repay that money in the future. We also talked about interest. Interest was that extra money that you have to pay when you end up borrowing money. But really quick, I want everybody just to refocus because we have a couple of friends who are maybe looking at other people, have brought stuff to the carpet that I don't need to be there. So I'm going to give you just about 10 seconds to readjust and refocus. Riley, put down your desk, please.
She's talking to me, but I don't know.
Okay. Alrighty. And then we're also talking about savings. Savings are funds that are not spent right away. The money is set aside for a future use. So for example, Sophie and I were talking about how her family recently, or one of the purchases she remembered was they bought a house. Well, a lot of the times when you're buying a house, you don't just like are walking down in a neighborhood and see a for sale sign and you just go purchase that house immediately that day. A lot of the times there's a lot of saving that goes on and a lot of planning, and it's a planned purchase, definitely. But a lot of the times those big purchases come from a savings account, which are funds that are stored and that are not spent right away. It's something that you hold on to because you know you're about to make a big purchase. What might be another big purchase you would use for saving money? What's another big purchase? Adeline?
Maybe getting a car
Mhm.
or getting X-ray.
An X-ray or something, okay. What might be another a big purchase you would have to save some money for? Julia?
Food supplies.
Food supplies, groceries. So Miss Mady knows that every month she spends a certain amount on groceries, and so she has to save that money in order to pay for groceries. So groceries is a planned expense, and it's a lot of the time something you save for. So those are great scenarios, guys. I can't call on everybody because we got to move on, but I know that you all have wonderful ideas, okay? So we're going to go to question number 1. I'm going to read it, and then we're all going to come together and find an answer. So it says, Richard borrowed $15 from his sister to buy a game. 2 weeks later, Richard gave his sister $17 to pay back the loan. Why did Richard pay back more than he borrowed? This goes back to one of those vocabulary words we were talking about. It's asking us, why did Richard pay back more than he borrowed? Haley?
It was insurance.
Interest, very good. She's using that good vocabulary word that we've talked about. Somebody remind me, what is interest? This is a great example of what interest looks like in a real world scenario. Zaid, what is interest?
Interest is when you borrow money and then you have to pay it back, but if you don't pay it back in a certain amount of days, you get charged.
You get charged more money, right? So we could say that Richard owed interest on what? On, well, how much money did he borrow? $15 from his sister, right? So we could say that the reason that he had to pay back more money than he owed is because Richard owed interest on the $15 he borrowed.
So does it just double $1 the more you wait to pay it back?
So that's a great question, Julia. Interest, a lot of the times, it depends on what you're buying. And it also depends on something called a credit score. When you start using credit, you get scored on how well you pay back that credit. And so a lot of the times, interest rates will depend on how well you pay back the money that you borrowed. So for something like this, it was probably a deal he worked out with his sister. Maybe his sister said, you know, every day that you don't pay me back my $15, you get charged like 25 cents or something. And we could work out that math, but we're not going to today. But no, that that would be how you would figure out interest, is by determining how good your credit is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Borrowed.
Has to save a lot of money because every day on
Hold on, I spelled this
groceries
wrong.
we pay about 1,000 because we buy a lot of food to make sure that we have enough for us.
Measure of interest on the $15.
We spend a lot of money on food.
Alright. There we go. Well, let's look at number 2. It says Mandy earned $5 each week when doing chores. Some of you guys might get this. It's called an allowance. Is maybe you're doing chores, or maybe you get good grades, or maybe you're doing your best at your house, and so you get something called an allowance. If you don't, that's okay. I didn't get one growing up, but it's really nice. It says Mandy earns $5 each week doing chores. Mandy spent all her chores money on snacks and small toys. So would that be planned or unplanned? Unplanned, right? She's buying things on impulse. It's like she's going to the grocery store and she's walking around with her mom and she just sees all these snacks and all these small toys she wants. So she throws them in the cart and she ends up buying them. But however, it says she wants to buy a bicycle that costs $100, but she does not have enough money. What should Mandy do to solve her problem? Explain your thinking. So I need a couple of friends to help me out with this one. So if you have an idea on maybe a way that Mandy could solve her problem, raise your hand. Everybody should be thinking right now. Stella, would you mind sharing your thinking?
Maybe she could return some of the toys, or she could do her best to get some of the money back.
Okay.
Work even more.
Work even more. So nice. If she worked even more, she would get more money, and then what should she do with that money? Naomi, what should she do with that money?
She should plan it because if she keeps saving and saving, she'll have enough to buy the bike she wants.
Very nice. And I like this word that Naomi's using. She's saying saving her money. So when she's saving her money, is she going out to the store and she's making more of those unplanned purchases? No, she's holding on to that money, right? And every time that she's doing chores the next week, she's saving it, and she's saving it, and she's holding on to it until maybe she has enough money to buy that bicycle. So how can we put this into a sentence? What's a way that we said that Mandy should save money to help solve her problem. So how can I put this into a sentence? Annika?
Mandy saves $5 each week so she could buy
So I could say Mandy should save her $5 each week. And then what's that word I'm looking for to help me explain my reasoning? Because. And then what should I say for my reasoning? Because, well, why should she save her money? What does she want? She wants a bicycle. Okay? So could that easily be my reasoning? Is say Mandy should save her $5 each week because she wants her bicycle, or she needs money for her bicycle. When she starts saving her money for her bicycle, is it planned or unplanned? Planned. Ooh, I like that thinking, Zay. He said if you do 20 chores, because we know 5 times 20 is 100, then
She did it each week, so she would have to go through 20 weeks.
probably.
Sure.
Alrighty, so those were our scenarios real quick, but this is what we're gonna do next. I'm going to hand you a paper, so Annika, come see me. And you can start passing them out. So, I'm going to hand you a paper, and we are going to do a activity with this paper. So, what we're going to do is, I need to make sure I have everybody's eyes so I know you know what you're gonna do next. I'm looking for everybody's eyeballs. I only have some
Can we draw our signatures?
in just a second,
No,
okay?
I want to share mine.
Alright, hold on. You're frozen until I say the magic word. I won't tell you what the magic word is. Nope. It's a new one, so you have to listen so you know what it is. Okay. You are going to go back to your desk and we are going to do each one of these problems. So you're going to start on this one. You're going to start on number 1. Okay? And you're going to work by yourself. Alright? After, on all of them. Okay? But listen, because there's different things you get to do with a partner. Okay? So you're going to work on number 1. Once you have answered number 1, you're going to stand up behind your chair and I will play some music. Okay? You're going to walk around the room and then you are going to, when the music stops, just like we always do, you're going to pair up with a partner and you're going to talk about why you picked the answer you chose. Okay? We're going to do that for all 4 of these. But right now, when you go back to your table, what's the only question you're doing?
1.
You're only doing 1. Okay? Are we working with a partner on this?
No.
No, you're working by yourself. The only time you get to talk to somebody with your partner is to explain your reasoning why you chose that answer. Okay, and we'll go over each one. Let me think of a magic word. Oh, yes, and you need to throw away your sticky notes.
I want to show someone.
Let's do saving. Your magic word is saving. So, saving, you can go. Get started. You can throw your sticky notes away first, and then get to work. Annika already has your paper on your desk.
I can't believe
Alrighty, you are going to your table and you are getting started working immediately, adding 0.
$1.99 and I have $2. Oh wait, $2.
Hey friends, what voice level did she say you're doing this at? Thank you.
Okay. Hey my friends, what voice level did I give you? A 0. So you should not be talking with a friend. This is independent work. Once you have answered number 1, you are standing up behind your chair. That's signaling to me that you are ready to go to your next task. You're going to walk around the room and discuss your reasoning, okay?
Miss Maybe you should call these musical partners.
Musical partners, that's a good one. The question says, my friends, what does planned spending mean? A, you spend money on something that you knew you were going to buy, or B, you spend money on something that you did not know you were going to buy. Okay? Once you have this answered, make sure you stand behind your chair
And
flip your paper over.
nobody.
Just listen, do you mind playing some music once everyone's up? Thank you. My friends, we still have others who are working, so please make sure you're being respectful of them as they're using their brain in order to answer this question. Thank you. My friends, what did I just say? Thank you. All right, it looks like everyone's ready, so make sure you have your paper and your pencil just in case you need to make some corrections. All right? Oh, you're good. We're going to wait for a second. It's a commercial break.
No.
I could just sing for you.
Yes. That's why. And you just have to say that sometimes.
So you all get your partners? Yeah. Okay, make sure you have everything you need. You should have your paper and you should have a pencil. All right. When the music starts, are we running around the room?
No.
Are we shoving?
No.
Are we following somebody because we want them to be our partner?
No.
No. We are not pushing, and we're not yelling either. Okay, music has started. Whenever you're ready, stop.
Oh, here's all
Hi guys.
Oh, I can't stop it because some people stopped moving. All right. You two are partners.
Julia, Kyla, and you are partners. Stella, you and Kira are partners. Brady, you and Teddy are partners. And you and Monica are partners. Okay, you're discussing your answers for number 1.
Good job.
Hey,
Spending.
nice. I agree.
What does it mean if you're doing your guys' spending, Teddy? Does
Okay.
that mean you have a plan and you know you're spending your money? Or does that mean you're just walking through the store picking up stuff?
not know.
Maybe when it's planned spending, you already know what you're going to spend your money on, or you just grab a random stuff and walk through the store. Yeah, you already have a plan for what you're spending your money on, so which one's the correct answer?
Thank you, Annika, for giving me your eyes and letting me know that you heard the bell. Thank you. Alrighty. Raise your hand if you got A. Oh, so good. It doesn't look like anybody missed it. Perfect. The answer is A. You're spending money on something you knew that you were going to buy, because planned means that you're saving money and you're not spending it on just smaller things that you're impulsively buying. Does that make sense? Okay, go back to your seat quietly and get started on number 2. Okay. Okay. Number 2 says the Garcia family goes bowling every month. What is this an example of? Is it an example of planned spending or unplanned spending? Really look at the question, guys, because it tells you, it has some clues to it.
Sophie, Brady, Dee, the Garcia family goes bowling every
Says
month.
Garcia
What is this an
family goes
example
bowling
of?
every month.
Planned
What is this an
spending or
example of?
unplanned spending?
Planned spending or unplanned spending. Okay, make sure that when you're done, you have your pencil and your paper and you're standing up behind your chair. That signals to me that we're ready to move. You too.
Brady, what did she say to
Probably, but this needs to stay at your desk. Okay, I see you're walking around the room with it, shaking it to the carpet. If it becomes a problem, it'll just go in your locker room, okay? Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, music has started. Teddy, make sure you push your chair in maybe, okay? So people aren't tripping over it. Thank you, Adeline. Say, make sure you're music, please. Okay, well, let's think about it. If they're going every month.
Okay, you two.
Okay, maybe Riley can help you too. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Kendra, go over there with Annika. You two. You two. You two. Everybody else. You're discussing your reasoning on why you picked your answer. But that does not sound like it's what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh my gosh.
Don't worry about it. They came back on. All right, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Oh, hold on. There's people who are still talking. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Thank you. Okay, when you guys hear me say that, you know exactly what that means. Please make sure you're following directions. All right? I think we just got a little too loud and you didn't hear me. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of good conversations going on, especially between the difference between planned and unplanned spending. In the question, it says the Garcia family goes bowling every month. What is this an example of? There's a phrase or a couple words in there that really help you decide if this is planned or unplanned, Kira. So, does anybody have an idea on what that phrase or a couple words might be? I hear a lot of you saying them, so that's good. Madison, what are you thinking?
Every month.
Every month, okay? Every month tells me that this family is constantly planning to go bowling every month, okay? If they're planning every month to do an activity, is that an example of planned or unplanned?
Planned.
It would be planned. How it would be unplanned is if at the end of the week, the Garcia family looks at each other and says, you know what? We've got some time, we're gonna go bowling. That would be something that they're doing just kind of on the fly, not a lot of thought into it. It wasn't a whole lot of planned, not a whole lot of scheduling going on, okay? So, but since they're going every month and it's a consistent thing, it would be, I already told you that's not gonna go with you, so go put in your locker, please. It would be an example of planned spending. Okay, now, you can go quietly back to your seat and work on number 3. That would be what? Unplanned spending, right? Okay, I don't mind us having these conversations. We just wait till I'm done talking, okay? All right, number 3, it says, have you ever decided to buy candy or gum while waiting in the checkout lines at the store? Is this an example of planned or unplanned spending? Make sure you explain your answer. Maybe, how would I start this? I would say, this is an example of, you give me which one you decide, and then what's that special word I want for your reasoning? Because. That tells me that you're about to explain why you chose your answer. So make sure you have your answer and because followed with some reasoning. Once you're done, please stand up behind your chair. I'm seeing a lot of good thoughts on paper. Good job, guys. Since this is going to be a complete sentence, make sure you have a capital at the beginning and some punctuation at the end. Thank you, Brady, for showing me that you're ready. Thank you, Kyla, for showing me that you're ready.
Teachers, please post your attendance at this time. Okay, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds. A little bit during snack time. Okay. You're still at a 0. We have friends who are thinking and are trying to decide on their reasoning. Would this be a version, would this be an example of planned or unplanned? Did they plan to go to the store and buy candy or gum? Okay, no, so what would that be? It would be what? It would be, what's the word? Unplanned. Okay, so you can put unplanned and then tell me why.
It's basically math rap.
You're not. Thank you to my friends who are being so patient and are just quietly waiting by their seat. Y'all are doing fantastic. So you can go ahead and start playing. Okay, if you're done, you should be walking around the room. Thank you. It says, have you ever decided to buy candy or gum while waiting at the checkout line at the store? Is this an example of planned or unplanned spending? Make sure to explain your answer. So what do you think it would be an example of?
You're almost done.
Are you done? Okay. Or what?
And then just like
Well, planned means I'm saving money and plans to make that purchase. Did they plan to buy candy or gum while they were waiting in the checkout line? No, so it would be what? Unplanned, and then you're gonna tell me why. So say it's unplanned because it's security done, so you should be
I
watching.
can't tell if you're stopping her. That's why.
Okay. Alright,
Right,
very nice.
who you are closest to?
Okay, Chris, Sophie, you guys, Lane, Haley, you guys, okay, nope, this is what we're gonna do. Brady, Annika, you go, and then Lane, then you guys should already be working. Okay, Zane and Charlie. And doesn't have a partner. So do you have a partner?
I think all of them.
Riley, you pick the work with me.
So,
Someone's so right. So what did you say?
oh, Joey
It's not bad. You should be talking with your partner about what they
It should say. And you're not necessarily wrong. It says, what do you know? You said unplanned, but it should say, this is unplanned spending. Why is it because? You tell me why you think it's unplanned. Does that make sense? Okay, so they just like threw it in last minute now. Okay. Why don't you go kindly help? You say because it's decided that tells me that they don't buy it every time. That they don't. Okay, we'll take out some of those words that make sense. All right, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Okay, that means your eyes should be on me. You should stop talking with your partner. All right, somebody raise their hand and tell me, is this going to be an example of planned or unplanned spending? Kyla, what you thinking?
I said, it is unplanned spending because she just now wanted to get candy.
Very nice. I love how she said she just now wanted to, okay? That would be a good example if someone was going to say in the question, those would be good words like now or during, okay? Just like every time was a good individual like word or phrase that was important to the question during that time. So would now, or so would decided right now. All of those different kinds of words would make a great way to tell you that it was an unplanned purchase, okay? Because those are words that are telling you they're doing it right now in the present time, okay? Instead of planning on doing it. Does anybody else have a different reason why it's unplanned spending? Sophie, what was your reason why it was unplanned? No problem. not plan to buy gum. Very good. All right. You're going back to your seat quietly. You are working on the last question. Yeah. In that case, they would tell you that they were looking for it or planning on it. But when you're sitting there in the grocery aisle and you know how they have all of those fun goodies right beside you, that's what they're wanting you to do, is make an unplanned purchase and just stick it in your cart.
What advice would you give to someone who spends their money quickly?
It says, what advice would you give to someone who spends their money quickly? Write your advice, then be ready to share your advice with a partner. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody who spends their money quickly?
Great. What advice would you give to someone who spends their money quickly? What would you tell them? Think about what somebody would tell you if you were spending your money too quickly. It's not asking you if it's planned or unplanned. It says, what advice would you give to somebody who spends their money too quickly? Yes, that would probably be unplanned spending, but what would you tell them? Is it a good thing to spend your money?
Hey friends, again, make sure you're having capitals and punctuation. Those are things we need to be mindful of.
Why that's not a good idea.
Think of it this way. If you were to check Miss Mady's Amazon account and see she is spending way too much money, way too quickly, what would you tell her?
Or like,
What would she need to do? Write it down. Tell her what she would need to do.
Well, mine wouldn't make sense because you're already old.
If yours doesn't make sense. I'm just trying for those who might be a little stuck to help them think of a scenario.
Hold on, this doesn't have anything to do with the gum from that problem. This says, what advice would you give to someone who spends their money quickly? So if you were spending your money super quickly, would you ever have money left over? Okay, so what would you tell that person?
Money on things you need instead of what you want.
Oh, I love that. Great job. Oh, I love that. Perfect. That's important, right? What if something bad happens and you need money? Somebody breaks their arm or wrecks their car. Try not to spend too much money.
Very nice.
Next.
Was what?
Miss Mady, tell me when you're ready.
Reckless.
Yes, you should be singing if you're done.
I like that word. Just try to spell it your best. Okay, I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to finish up what you got. To my friends who are trying to sit on their chairs and sit on their desks, that's something we never do.
Like we're supposed to
Please
sit
stop.
on the chairs, but there's not
The
on.
top of the chair,
Sitting in. I was confused.
not on your chair.
On the chair would be doing this.
There's still a couple more friends. Miss Wilson, you can go ahead. Make sure you don't get run over. Here, I'll come stand over and protect you. A no walking zone. No walking zone. Go around. Beep, 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 beep. There we go.
Random places.
Okay. What else we got?
I need that. I'm not
Alright, so Lane, I'm trusting you to be partners. Data, Kira.
Hey!
Y'all have gum at girls do too.
If you have a friend,
Brady, when you're done here, he's Stella's partner.
kind of like the girl who was giving her toys, and then she decided that she wanted to buy it, but she didn't have enough money to buy it. But you're basically gonna be spending why your money.
That is not a good thing to spend your money too quickly. Again, why? Why?
Plan to spend your money. Okay. In order to plan to spend your money, are you going to be buying it? Are you going to be
Okay,
buying
guys,
it?
everybody freeze for just a second.
No, you're going to be doing what?
I'm walking around and
You're
I'm
going to be
looking at
what?
people's answers, and a lot of you have the correct answer, but you haven't given me a reason. I know Miss Mady said that you need a reason.
Plan spending. When you're
So make
planning
sure
to
you
spend money,
include that
are you
word
spending your money?
because. Okay, keep going with your partner.
Are you spending your money just on random things?
Miss Mady.
No, what
Don't
are
have a
you doing? You are. I'm looking for specific words.
Okay, good.
I'm looking for a specific word. If you're not
Yes, I
spending it, what are you doing? If I'm not spending it, what am I doing? If I'm not
I'm gonna
spending it,
help you finish writing.
what am I doing? Starts with an S.
Do you guys have a reason that you see because?
Saving it.
Because.
You're saving it. So what can you tell
All
her?
work together to add because.
We're not saying if it's planned or unplanned. What are we telling her? She's spending her money too quickly. So what are we telling her she needs to do instead? She needs to save it. Why should she need to save it?
I was crossing.
Because you're gonna run out of money. You don't want to run out of money. That's scary.
If you didn't have money to buy food, you'd be starving, right?
But we're not talking about this. What do they need to do once they
That's for last week.
Right, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Hey, I need a friend to raise their hand and tell me what advice would you give this person and why. I'm calling on friends who are standing or sitting quietly, who are raising their hand. Kira, what advice would you give this friend?
It is not a good idea because you will run out of money.
Because you will run out of money. Is it a good thing to run out of money?
No.
Chris, what do you got?
I said you need to save your money because it is not good to be broke.
It's not good to be broke.
You could have to sell aside.
One more. Kendra, what did you write?
I wrote
Oh, I'm so sorry, Kendra. I have some friends who are deciding to talk instead of listen. Let's make sure we're being respectful of friends who are sharing their thinking. Go ahead, Kendra.
I say unfair because she have to stop spending their money quickly.
She needs to stop spending her money quickly. Very good. Okay, you are frozen until I say that magic word. I have to remember what it was. Okay, no, I got it. Don't worry. I got it. All right.
It was. I don't remember it either.
Okay, it's all right.
I know it.
I remember it. Okay, this is what you're doing next. Your name needs to be on this paper and it needs to go in the math tray. After that, you need to get your purple Think Up book. I will tell you the page in just a second.
Me and Brady need
Okay.
to finish talking.
Save. Saving. It was one of those. Go. Save. Okay. You're quietly putting this in the math tray with your name. If there's no name, it goes where? Okay. And then you're getting your purple Think Up book. Sorry, I said go math. Purple Think Up. Okay.
Oh, it's the
Purple thing up.
Okay, she said 391. Turn to page 391.
Alright, I'm looking for friends who are quietly at their table, who have their purple Think Up book out. Okay, I see that Riley Sable's almost there. I haven't said a number yet, babe. Just wait just a moment, please. I haven't said a number yet. Oh, Miss Wilson said the number. That's fine.
My bad.
No worries. Okay, you're going to be on page 391.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
ready.
so you're quiet. immediately turning to page 391. Just a second. Go to your turn to your. You already turned to your page. Then yes, you can go. Okay. On page 391, you have 5 problems that you are going to do by yourself that are asking you questions that we have all talked about today. They're going to ask you about planned and unplanned spending. They might ask you about interest or credits or what's the benefits of those, okay? But before you start, I want you to cross out number 3. You are not doing number 3.
Okay.
You're crossing out number 3.
391.
Okay, on page 391, you're going to cross out number 3. All right, but you are responsible for doing number 1, 2, 4, and 5. All right, we've already done our pops, so I will let you get your snack in just a little bit. But as of right now, you have until specials for us to get this done. All right, that is plenty of time to do 4 questions. Easy peasy. Okay? You guys may get started. If you're working, I apologize. If you're working at independently, what voice level should you be at? 0. If you're one of my friends who gets read aloud to, just raise your hand when you need me to come read a question. Okay?
Numbers 1 to 3 is a benefit of planned spending decisions. A, paying interest on borrowed
Number 1.
B, never
Which of
having
these is a
enough
benefit
money
of planned
for
spending
purchases.
decisions?
C, not
A,
having to borrow
paying
money
interest
often,
on borrowed
or
money.
D, always being
B,
able
never
to
having
spend
enough money for a
whenever you want.
purchase. C, not having to borrow money often. Or D, always being able to spend money whenever you want.
Okay, number 4
Okay, number 1, it says, which of these is a benefit of planned spending decisions?
You already picked an
A,
answer.
paying interest on borrowed money. B, never having enough money for purchases. C, not having to borrow money often. D, always being able to spend money whenever you want.
C, to be able to pay for large purchases. D, to have a larger amount of debt. Or D, to prepare for college expenses. Wait, not, which are not reasons to save.